Think about what that means. You know, the strength of America includes that we have been committed as Americans, as part of our spirit, to the expansion of rights.
Right.
And for the first time, we're seeing a restriction.
I mean, hey, what happened to all this patriotic American talk like we are Americans and you can't tell us what to do with our bodies? Like what happened to that? I don't hear those voices crying out from the rooftops telling the government to stay out of my business. So yes, Miss Kamala Harris has been doing her like blitz on all these social media platforms, and the one that I really found impressive, and unfortunately I had to just listen to a lot of these podcasts, a lot of these shows, because that's kind of just the business that I'm in. But the one that I was really more impressed with was the one she was on, Howard Stern. Now, Howard Stern has been around the black for a long time. I actually, unfortunately, kind of awkward, I was listening to Howard Stern when I was like 10 years old. You know, when he had the late night show and he would bring in, you know, a wide variety of guests. So I know of Howard Stern. I don't really listen to him as much now. Obviously, I don't really listen to him at all. But he's not a reporter. He's not a journalist. He's not someone who claims to be unbiased and just trying to, you know, shoot straight down the middle when it comes to politics. He expresses his views on Trump, Republicans, and who he supports, Democrats, and more specific, Kamala Harris. So this is not something to get like an analysis of an unbiased person. Like, he's throughout this whole interview expressing his appreciation for Kamala Harris. So, you know, don't come into this thinking like this is going to be like a hardball type of conversation. It's not. And that's what I expected at first until I kind of had to ease into it. And it's like, oh, okay, this is what he brought her on for. So one thing that I really liked about Kamala Harris in this conversation was her confidence. For some reason, some awkward reason, I didn't see that in the way that she was interacting with the conversation. Maybe because this is more of a like sit back, more chill type of scene, but her confidence, her seriousness, if that's a word, she showed that, and she was extremely coherent, which is weird to say coming from a presidential nominee, but compared to Trump, like, she sounds like an Obama type of figure. Like, every word, at least in this interview, meant something. And when you was actually hearing her talk, like, it led to a bigger point. And that's what I've been annoyed at with Kamala Harris, is that she would kind of ramble on about her past life. And it's like, well, why we going backwards? I don't understand, you know? So with this interview, I think she did a million times better. So let's go ahead, switch over. Boom, there we go. And let's listen to the first portion that I have here. Once again, we're not going to watch the whole thing. If you want to watch the whole thing, go to Howard Stern's YouTube page and watch the full thing. But I found three key moments that I think were noticeable and worth conversating.
And standing with our allies and against our adversaries.
When I was watching the debate, what drove me nuts, and I was there debating with you, I was like, say this, say that. And you said it. You said, well, this guy is talking, his big issue is immigration. Okay, fair enough. There's an immigration problem. And you made the point. You said, you know, it's great that you're for immigration, but we had this fantastic bill that would have secured the border.
Correct.
Republicans and Democrats did it together. But you picked up the phone and called the Republicans and say, reject your own bill. Now, when you say something like that, you'd think it would be the end of the discussion. The guy put his campaign ahead of, we could have solved this big problem. We would have had the resources, the money, everything.
Yeah.
And yet he's somehow during the debate, it somehow just goes away. I mean, to me, it should be like, we don't move on until we answer that. Why did you cancel the bill?
And Howard, to your point, the bill is and would have been the strongest border security bill in years. It would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border. I've been down to the border. Those border agents are working around the clock. They need help. They
Right.
need support. And this bill would have done that. In fact, the Border Patrol agents have supported the bill. It would have stemmed the flow of fentanyl. I'm traveling our country, meeting with mothers and fathers and children of people who have died because of fentanyl. This would have put the resources into stemming the flow of fentanyl coming into our country, killing Americans.
Yeah.
It would have done work to allow us to go after transnational criminal organizations. I am a former prosecutor, as you know. I have prosecuted transnational criminal organizations who are trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. This is not theoretical for me. I know what they do, and we should have the resources to go after them.
Don't you want to say to the people who support him, what are you not hearing? Are you not hearing that we had a bill to solve this big problem? You're all afraid of this. Understood. We understand that. I mean, I hear these interviews with people who are voting in the other direction, and I don't understand. There's no, it's all chaos. It doesn't make any sense to me. Speaking about
So to answer his question, to some people, it could be a real issue. We have 331 million Americans. I don't want to pretend like no one really sees that as their number one issue. I mean, I would say wages, healthcare, education, just your expenses. I think that would probably take number one. But if you're someone who looks at immigration as your number one problem, then okay, I get it. But in my opinion, I think 85% of Republican voters don't honestly care about the border. They probably don't know what was in that border bill. They probably don't care that over 20 plus Republican politicians helped create that bill. And actually, what's his name? Mario, I think it's Diaz, I believe, from Florida. One of the strongest, strictest type of Republicans there is today. And he co-signed that bill. So if that's your number one issue, I don't care what was in the bill. I mean, unless it's like calling for the death of Americans and kidnapping little kids, then okay, let's not pass that bill. But just because it had aid for Ukraine or whatever, I've been hearing excuses. Is like every bill that virtually gets passed from Republicans to Democrats have that sort of bloatware in there. It's always going to come a little extra, which I don't agree with, but that's been politics for years before I was born. So let's not all of a sudden grow a conscience, be like, no, I can't pass this bill because they're asking to send money to Ukraine. Like, get over yourself. Get off your high horse. If this is your number one issue, you should be enraged that the Republicans, Donald Trump, didn't allow this bill to go through. If the Democrats or if the Republicans put up a bill that increased the minimum wage to $18 an hour, okay? Republicans jumped on it. We had Joe Biden. We had AOC. We had a lot of people supporting the bill, and we had Bernie Sanders calling, his few connections saying, hey, don't pass the bill. Me and Bernie Sanders would be throwing hands. Seriously, hands on sight. Like, you're messing, like they say, you're putting your party over country, and that's not going to work. That's not what we put you in office to do. But unfortunately, like I said, a lot of Republican voters don't care about immigration. They just care about the semantics. They just care about the back and forth and making sure that their team is winning just because, right? I guarantee you they couldn't name three Republicans who help author that bill. Probably couldn't do it. They don't care. So there you go. Let's get into to the next moment here. We got 26 minutes, I believe is right here.
Goes, F you, you're not appointing anyone to the Supreme Court, basically. You're the sitting president of the United States. The basic unfairness of that makes me insane. It makes me feel like America's going down the tubes. How can this be? The president could not appoint a Supreme Court justice, and now we have a Supreme Court. You know what? You want to get an abortion, you don't want to get an abortion. I trust any woman to make that decision for herself. What is this? I don't want Donald Trump and his party deciding. I don't want Clarence Thomas deciding.
But here's the thing that is, again, really important that people understand about who Donald Trump is. He hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court to do exactly what they did, take away the right of an individual to make decisions about their own body. Like, I ask people to take a step back.
Now this is the part right here where I feel that she explained this in a more one-on-one type of breakdown. Not like, speaking like a politician and, just hitting the key words that a politician is supposed to hit. But right here, when she was explaining this, is like, that's what I'm talking about. Talk to people like they're humans. Talk to people like you go to work with them every day. Don't try to proper talk to them and just, healthcare is an issue. Like, people don't want to hear that. People just want that honest one-on-one type of conversation. And what she's about to say right now, to me, I was like, what? Who is this? Okay, this ain't the Kamala Harris of 2020. No, this ain't that. But watch, listen.
Let's just think about it this way. Whatever your gender,
right,
and it's not about abortion. You have basically now a system that says you as an individual do not have the right to make a decision about your own body. The government has the right to make that decision for you. So regardless of how you feel about abortion, think about what that means. The strength of America includes that we have been committed as Americans, as part of our spirit, to the expansion of rights.
Right.
And for the first time, we're seeing a restriction of rights, fundamental rights, including what could be more fundamental.
Come on now.
To make decisions about your own body. And that's what has happened. And Howard, to your point, look.
Hey, right there. Beautiful. She took out the whole conversation of whatever gender you are. She took out the whole conversation of abortion. The simple fact that we are allowing the government to tell us what to do with our own body here, this sexy body of mine. I'm not going to allow anyone to tell me what to do with my body besides my wife. All right, that's it. All right, it's me and my wife what I decide to do with this thing. I don't need no old white person sitting millions of miles away from me telling me what I can and cannot do. I mean, hey, what happened to all this patriotic American talk like we are Americans and you can't tell us what to do with our bodies? Like what happened to that? I don't hear those voices crying out from the rooftops telling the government to stay out of my business. But no, once again, Republicans continue to somehow sneak their way into people's mental and telling them you're free, you live in a democracy, but at the same time, we're going to restrict what you can and cannot do. Gay marriage. I'm not gay and don't care, but I do believe if somebody wants to marry a man and they're a man, or if a woman wants to marry a woman, let them do that if this is a democracy. You can't have it both. You can't act like you're a dictator but claim it's a democracy. Doesn't make sense. The math ain't mathing. You can't square that circle. Whatever analogy you can put into there. It doesn't work like that. So either you allow Americans to make their decisions as long as it's not infringing on other people's rights and safeties and freedoms, go for it. But no, these Republican voters are brainwashed into thinking restricting rights is somehow freedom. Okay, you lost me there.
Look, this is not, this issue is not about trying to convert people, right?
Right.
Because one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree.
Right.
The government shouldn't be telling her what to do with her body. She will talk with her priest, her pastor, her rabbi, her imam, but not the government.
Well, here's
telling
what
her
I
what to
worry
do.
about. You got a guy who says,
Hey, there you go. She said, hey, you don't have to abandon your faith to understand just the basic human right is that you get to make the final decision. You don't have to denounce Christianity. You don't have to denounce your religion. Just have a basic understanding that as a human being, you have rights. And if you don't believe that, then I guess none of this really matters at this point. Let's go to the last one here. This is 5435. We'll start right here.
act as if they can't say Kamala. It's not that complicated.
It's just,
What's going on?
So with the whole name thing, at first I was kind of confused on like, why are they purposely mispronouncing her name as Kamala instead of Kamala? Like, it's a little simple to me, and I'm not the smartest person in the room, but then at first it's like, okay, they're just trying to distract because that's the only things that Republicans can offer is good distractions. You know, we were talking about how to pronounce her name for a good, 2 weeks, which is weird, but I like her response right here.
What really is going on there when they can't pronounce Kamala? Is it supposed to be an insult? Is it like Barack Hussein? Is it some sort of
it's the same
slur?
old tired playbook, Howard.
Is it-
And I think most people are not going to be distracted by it. They want to know you have a plan for bringing prices down.
Right.
They want to
There
know
you
you have
go.
a plan for keeping America secure.
Yes.
Right. So I would sum up your plan.
Beautiful. She said, I don't got the time to mess around with you. I got some work to do. People are depending on me to make sure that they can live a life worth living and not just continuously barely above water. I got business to handle. If you want to mispronounce my name, go ahead. But that's what I was missing right there. Like, she's not perfect. She's not my number one pick by far. But the way that she's continuing to widen the gap between what a presidential candidate looks like compared to an unhinged, just weird old guy like Donald Trump. It's night and day now. Donald Trump could never, ever, ever speak this eloquently and with confidence. Like when you hear him talk, you're looking to laugh at him. Honestly, at least for me. It's like, because I know he's going to say something stupid. I know he's just going to rattle off into some weird type of conversation. But that's not what I need in my president. That's what I need in a comedian, but not a president. So she did a really good job as, hey, we ain't going to talk about that. I'm going to give you 10 seconds of saying, hey, they're just trying to distract. But this is what I'm really about. This is what people are really concerned about. And we're not going to spend 10, 15 minutes talking about why they're mispronouncing my name. Maybe because they don't know how to read. I don't know. But let's move the conversation to something that matters. Gangster with it. Easy, simple.
And I love the $6,000 tax credit for those with newborns.
Yeah.
And this is a real boom to people. This is stuff that would be, I'm a new grandfather.
I didn't know
I have two grandchildren, but I have a
new one?
A new one, brand new.
Good for you. Congratulations.
And you know what? A $6,000 tax credit is saying you're pro-family.
And what does it do? It allows a young young parents to be able to buy a crib, a car seat. That stuff is expensive. The stuff that is so
Yeah.
necessary for that incredibly important phase of their child's development. And again, the return on the investment is profound.
Yes.
Pro-family is about taking care of, like I announced today, what my plan to make sure that Medicare covers at-home elder care, because probably a lot of your listeners are in that.
So, and she's about to get into, older healthcare and things like that, which is important, but I love the way that she answered that. She said, or Howard Stern said, like, that's policies that support pro-family. Like, don't tell me you're pro-family. Put through policy, legislation that shows me you're pro-family. And I have my own critiques when it comes to, the $6,000 tax credit. Like, $6,000 is a lot of money. I mean, not a lot, but it's enough, especially when you're having a new child. Like, that $6,000 is going to come in handy, for real. I'm not undercutting that. But I mean, with my own personal, type of critiques to it is, we need wages to be increased to continue that success and continue to support your family. That $6,000 will go far, but you're eventually going to run out of that money. So you need to be able to continue with it. But what have Republicans done in regards to being pro-family? No. That's a real question, because I couldn't find it. Maybe I got to spend a little bit more time trying to find legislation within the past 10 years. I don't want to go back to 1980. I want to know in the past 10 years, what type of policies have Republican put past that really put a dent, really affected a large amount of families in regards to family. I want to know, because like I said, I only spent like maybe, 40, about an hour trying to look for that information, and really couldn't find anything worth talking about or taking credit for. So, but once again, if you think I'm wrong, one, go ahead and join the Discord so we can have that one-on-one conversation, debate, just convo, whatever you want to call it. Or let me know how you guys feel regarding this video in the comments down below. And like always, let's have a conversation.